Hello again, and today I am at our off-grid cabin here. It's situated just beside a lake. We generate our own power here from 4 solar panels, and at this time of year, just as October turns to November, power is always a nightmare. We just don't generate enough power, and particularly power for heating. Heating is the real problem here, and heating absorbs so much power that it's extremely hard to run anything from batteries with a heater unless you have a tremendous amount of batteries and a tremendous amount of solar panels. So today I'm going to tell you what I've learned about generators and how I use the generator to power the cabin and recharge my batteries to ensure that I have enough power. Well, the very first thing I'll tell you about generators in an off-grid cabin is not to have them inside the cabin. There's a few reasons for this. One of them is that the generator itself is a bit smelly. You have to also store petrol near the generator to run it, and that can also be a bit smelly. So the other main issue with generators is that they can go on fire. If something goes wrong, they will go on fire, and so it's best to have that located outside or far away from your cabin. You can see here I have a blue 220 volt cable linking into the cabin, and that is supplying the power into my inverter, which will charge my batteries. The biggest load I have inside the cabin is a 300 watt heater. Now this is fantastic when I can charge enough power from my solar panels. I can provide the heat from the batteries to that radiator. But when the winter comes, it just can't heat the cabin up enough. No matter what they say about the square meters and volume of small 300 watt heaters, they just don't bring the heat up enough. So I have to use a 1000 watt heater to supplement that. And a 1000 watt heater will only operate off a generator. It just will not draw from the batteries. The batteries will go down far too quick and I'll have no power at all. So I've got to use a generator. So here you can see the two generators that I have here. On the right is the generator I've been using for the last year. It's a pretty good, extremely reliable 4000 watt generator. This thing has always turned for me no matter what. It's been a really reliable machine. The problem is it's generating 4000 watts and it doesn't modulate. So I'm getting a continuous or possibility of 4000 watts with the engine running into the cabin, and it's just burning far more fuel than I actually need to put into the machine. So it's just not the right type of generator for the setup I have here in the cabin. So I have purchased this Honda EU22. It's a silent generator, and unlike the previous generator, which is quite noisy, this is a modulating generator. It's quite a little neat kit. It's much more smaller than the other generator. It's got a little bit more easy functionality here, and it's got these two buttons here, which is a rabbit, which is the fast mode, just continuous power, and this modulating mode here. So that will reduce the power into the cabin to around 15 to 20 watts just while it's running. And when I switch on the electric heater, the 1000 watt electric heater, it will ramp itself up to provide the power for that requirement. This generator produces 2000 watts max, and I have noticed that it is quite a good generator in that it holds quite a lot of fuel. It definitely holds 2 or 3 times the amount of my site generator, and it is much more efficient in running that as well because of this modulation feature. Well, the Honda generator itself is really much more quiet than the old site generator, and when it's put into my storage box with the vent coming in from the side, should be an awful lot more quieter around here. So just want to show you how this modulation feature works inside the cabin. So here is my Victron setup, and here is the heater. This is a 1000 watt heater, and if we can see on the panel here, you will see it's drawing 24 watts. Now we'll put the heater on now, and you can see the generator outside ramping up. So it's only increasing to take the load of this heater, which is over 1000 watts. And when I switch the heater off, it ramps right back down quietly, only consuming the least amount of fuel. Well, I had a tumultuous start here using my Honda 22i. Behind me here is my Victron inverter, and my 1000 watt heater was surging power from the generator. It was ramping the generator to produce huge amount of power suddenly, and that was sending the Victron system into shutdown. So I had fantastic help from Victron in the Netherlands. They were pretty quick to know what the issue was and to give me tips on VE configure. The major of those tips was to reduce the ampage down from 14 to 7. So that ironed out my issues completely, and the system is now working perfectly even when a surge of power comes onto the system. It's not racing the generator, and it's keeping the system from tripping out as well. The generator is probably going to do a lot better as well, because it's not racing to produce huge amounts of power. It's just keeping it nice and even on a low steady hum, using less fuel. And I have to say the system is working much better now since I made those changes.